All right, here we go. It is on and cracking, as they say. There's just a lot going on in Seattle sports. I'm Mazvita Maraire, the radio host of Seattle Sports Radio. And just, Mariners. We're going to start with them at the top. They're obviously winning, and they won 2 games. That is 2 games in the American League Divisional Series. They won 4 in the American League Division Series, 2 in the American League Championship Series. And you know what that means? They are just 2 wins away from the World Series. Mariners are the only team in baseball never been there, and they are just 2 wins away. Improbable that it is. They play tomorrow. George Kirby will be on the mound. And then Seattle gets to host another game on Thursday with Luis Castillo on the mound. And guess what? Seattle gets to host another game on Friday. So, yes, those of you like me that went to public school and have to use fingers, 1, 2, 3, the next 3 games will be here at T-Mobile Park. And I believe there's a few tickets left. Let's take a quick look. Mariner playoff tickets. Can you get any? Looks like SeatGeek does. Boy, oh boy. When I look and I look and I look. Yeah. So right now for tomorrow, there you go. It's another way to take a look at it. $260. Game 3 and $362. Yeah, there you go. So limited tickets do remain. And if you get a chance, I would get them quickly. So, all right. So that's kind of the ticket update there. And before I kind of go into the Mariner, how they got there, I got some pretty cool stuff because I attended the games. American League Championship Series. So we're going to go in the locker room. This is like, I thought about it back there. So what happens is in baseball, which is real unique from other sports. And that is each time they win a playoff series, let's say they win the division, which is the pennant, they celebrate. They win the wild card round, they celebrate. They win the American League Championship Series, they celebrate. And, of course, we're all hoping they will win the American League Division Series. But I'm going to take you, made this video up here because I'm going to try to do. Kind of take you around inside and places that I get to go and you might not get to go. And so that's what we try to do, bring you the inner stuff. So it's this video here of the Mariners. They win the ALCS, and then they celebrate in the locker room. D-Money, can we play that one? There you go. Roll inside the seat. There you go. Here comes the speech. Video Rodriguez.
What you guys have in here is special. What you guys keep doing is special. It's powerful. You've changed this team, you've changed this organization, and you've changed that city. Let's keep it.
All right, so let's try the camera work a little bit here. There we go. I can't. I'm trying to hide the camera. My phone is getting wet. goodness. How rally up. Yeah. Obviously, just waited, celebrating.
The winning is the first. Playing a lot of innings. The win we celebrate right now is awesome.
What about this team togetherness? Can you talk about that?
This team is everybody together. That's what I need for the team. We're hungry for winning. We're hungry for everything.
Are you ready for Toronto?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
And I think this says a lot about the team and the arms and to everybody, but this club is really resilient. Just never say give up.
Yeah, well, we prepared for that, but I mean, everybody tonight, everyone dug deep and found a way to win, and it just goes to show how tough we are, and man, it's just so cool to see everybody, getting the job done tonight. So.
All right, so there you go. They got the job done in the ALCS, and as I said, they are now 2 up on the Toronto Blue Jays. Just amazing on this run that the Mariners are doing. And for Game 3, it will be George Kirby, we just talked to right there. And so they're looking for him. And, during the regular season, he had a 4.21 ERA across 20 regular season starts, which, he rebounded. And what's interesting about Kirby is at home, he had a 3.38 earned run average. Now, remember, he missed the first 2 months of the season with right shoulder inflammation. So the Mariners are looking to see that if he can get that done. And now the thing with Kirby, he hasn't pitched against the Blue Jays because the Mariners did play the Blue Jays. And quote, he said, just picking up some tendencies on how guys are approaching certain at-bats, and you kind of go from there. So, this is the Blue Jays are a very powerful team. I mean, it's not mission possible. The Blue Jays could come back, but it's mission improbable. But they do have one of the best hitters, and that is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and he can change the game with one swing of his bat. And he did that in the Blue Jays series against the Yankees. So, but he's 0 for 7 right now. And you know what? And the key is going to be for the Mariners, they have to pitch around him and just get people out before he gets up there, because he is a problem. And that is one of the strategies they will try to do here in terms of Kirby. And then, as I said, Castillo going on to, Thursday's game. And so that is where the Mariners stand. And then so yesterday after their win, got a chance to talk with, here's an interview got from Dan Wilson, talked to the media yesterday. And let me just give you a little bit of kind of that post-game interview. Here.
Dan, just, you've spoken about Jorge, obviously, and the positions that he's, come through in, but just, what is it about him? How are you surprised, or, what's your reaction to the fact that he just continues to come up and not just get hits, but get RBIs in those moments?
Yeah, coming up huge in big moments. And, just his at-bats have been so good. Whether it's right-handed or left-handed tonight, it was left-handed. I thought the at-bat there to get the 3-run homer was a huge turnaround for us. We had kind of given up the lead. It had been tied up there again, and to get that 3-run lead back was big. And that was just a great at bat, getting in there and just doing what Polo does. He waits to get a good pitch and he puts a really good swing on it. And he's a tough out right now, and it's been huge for us. And he's come up in in situations where we've had guys on, and he's been able to do the job and drive them in, and that's what this game's all about. And it's been phenomenal.
Other questions for Dan?
We got to play through the YouTube ads here, but that's just kind of the cost of doing business. I'm going to find a way not to do that. But anyways, I'm going to go back.
Right.
Just wondering, what was the key to battling any potential fatigue from the last series coming into this one? How did you handle that as well as you did?
Couple things, I guess. Nothing that I think our guys have proven over the course of the season to be very resilient. They're just kind of built that way, whether it's emotional or mental, whatever. They're just resilient. They bounce back, and to get an emotional win at home like that and come back here on the road, these guys were ready to go, and they knew we had more business to take care of. Secondly, being out on the West Coast, you travel a lot. It's just part of the deal. I think in some ways they're maybe a little bit used to those longer flights and having to deal with some of the delays and whatever happens. But, again, I can't speak enough to how resilient they are, how hard they fight, and it's been a big part of what we've been able to do all season long.
Third row on your left, Dan.
Yeah, just your bullpen, obviously, game 4 in Detroit falters, and then since then has been nails for 3 straight games plus, with the 15 innings, and taking you through some really hard times in terms of needing length, needing innings. What does that say about this group in the bounce back there to be able to do what they've done?
Yeah, I thought it was just an outstanding job again tonight by the bullpen. Logan giving us 3, and that was what we needed. And then you hand the ball to Bizzardo, who's been so solid, so consistent all season long, and gave us a nice bridge to get to the later innings. And then Vargy, jumping on after we were able to take a lead. And when you got a guy like Vargy who's able to come in and throw 98, 99 miles an hour, that's a plus. And again, he gave us 2 strong innings, turned it over to Emerson, and another 2 strong innings. So just an excellent job by the bullpen tonight. You can't ask for more than that, and these guys really delivered and gave us some strong innings tonight.
Brian, 5 rows straight back.
It looked like Naylor had that uncomfortable at bat. Did he have to say anything to you for you to keep him in the game?
Nails is as tough as they come, and he doesn't want to come out. He doesn't want to come out, and it's just a matter of making sure he's okay and good enough to play, and he was, and I'm not coming out. So he's as tough as they come, literally, and for him to stick it out like he did tonight was phenomenal, and then later on to be able to get a pitch he was able to handle and drive it out of the ballpark. It's just a testament to how strong he is and how much he wants to win.
You talk about that home run. What do you think that meant to him hitting it here?
I mean, it's got to feel great in front of the home folks, it feels good going around the bases, and a lot of history here for him and his family's here, so it's got to feel great. But again, he's all about the team. He's all about winning. He's all about doing what it takes. And tonight was another example of that in a big stage.
Take a couple last ones on your left, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, just you obviously know what this means to the fan base and how starved they've been for a situation and an opportunity like this. Just as you come back up 2-0, what's your message to the fan base as they get ready to come out for Game 3?
Yeah, we're super excited to get back home and keep playing baseball in front of in T-Mobile Park, and we know what that atmosphere is going to be like. We're so excited to get out there. The fans really have been so tremendous. You can't thank them enough for the force that they have been at the ballpark and at home. So we're looking forward to getting back and feeling that energy again in the ballpark. And we know we have work to do. These series take on a life of its own. We've got plenty of work to do and got to stay focused on where we're headed. And we know our fans will help us get there.
All right, Dan, have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll get started with Edward. Freddie's here to assist, and we'll start the 4th row on your left, guys.
Edward?
consigues tu primera victoria en una postemporada. Se habló mucho sobre el bullpen y los lanzadores de este equipo después de la serie contra Detroit por ese desgaste. Llegan acá a Toronto y en los 2 primeros juegos el bullpen no permite ninguna carrera. ¿Cómo son las emociones después de estos 2 primeros juegos acá?
Tú sabes, agradecido con la oportunidad que nos ha brindado Dan. Eh, Tú sabes, el último juego contra Detroit fue un juego largo, tuvimos que lanzar casi todos los relevos y algunos de los abridores, pero tú sabes, estamos en playoff, la emoción es grande, tú sabes, las energías están aquí puestas para hacer el trabajo y seguir continuando ganando juegos y llegar a la meta que sería el World Series.
Yeah, the question was, what are some of these emotions? You've won your first postseason game here today, but what was the emotions like? You guys went 15 innings back home. Come here and the way the bullpen performs. How are you feeling? His answer was, yeah, it's very emotional. I mean, I'm very grateful for the opportunity that Dan gave us. I mean, obviously the game in Detroit was a little long. Longer than we needed to, but we're in the postseasons. We are all here, trying to do the most we can to win, and the end goal is to get to the World Series.
All right, so there you go. We will we'll stop it there, and that was Edward Bizzardo, and it's important the way the baseball, the chess match that is the baseball game. You hear about that, the hitters and the pitchers, and by the Mariners not having to go to Matt Brash or Munoz, then what that does, it gives them, it rests those two. That is your closer. All right. And, baseball's a funny thing in terms of, well, I guess more sports, they need a rest, but because he doesn't have to pitch. Edwin Munoz, who was Mariners shut down, straight up closer, because what you have here, your starting pitcher, you have what you call, and you heard Dan talk about this, your bridge pitcher. So your pitcher, you're hoping they can get you 1 to 5, to the 5 innings. Because, if you get to 5 innings with your starting pitcher, 5 or 6 is incredible. But then what happens is then you get your middle relief pitchers, and they can give you maybe 2 innings, 7 innings, right? And this is all, I'm just, perfect scenario maybe. And then you bring in your closer for an inning or 2 innings and a half. That would be the perfect pitch baseball game in terms of how you're using your bullpen. Now, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes that's why you see in baseball, if your starting pitcher goes 4 innings, they're like, you hear this thing like, okay, now the bullpen. So the Mariners, Dan Wilson then has to say, okay, I've got to find somebody to get me from 4 to 7 as opposed to 6 to 8. So that is the pitching match that's there, and that's real critical. And, right now, the Mariner bullpen, these first 2 games, their pitchers have been on fire and enabled the bullpen to rest. And that should play well to, as I said at the top of the show here, because you got Vladimir Guerrero, and sooner or later, as I said, you pitch around him. To be able to pitch around him, you've got to get rested pitchers. So there you go. As I said, the Mariners 2 games away from the World Series. Let me let's do a little bit of house cleaning here, and let's see. Tonight, get informed for this year's general election with Rainier Avenue Radio's broadcast of the Seattle City Council position 8. Big debate with Alexis Mercedes Rink and Rachel Savage. And that is 6 p.m. And let me get my dates right. Yeah. So that's tonight, 6 p.m. And then also live high school football on Thursday. That's on Thursday, 2 days away. With the Metro League High School 3A football game, you've got O'Day 5-1 against Ballard 1-4. Games live from the Southwest Athletic Complex. So looks like a mismatch on paper. O'Day is the reigning state champions. They beat Bellevue last year. So they are trying to for a repeat. Monty Collar and his group there. But reminds me, while we're talking high school, let's take a quick look. I thought, you know what, I'm going to start incorporating a little prep report here. And right now, also on Thursday, we talked about the O'Day Ballard, but on Friday, October the 7th. Now, we're not broadcasting these games, but, get out there at West Seattle Stadium. Eastside Catholic will take on Seattle Prep at 7 p.m. And at the same time, so geographically, depending on where you live, Garfield and Bishop Blanchette. And Eastside Catholic and the Seattle Prep game is at West Seattle Stadium. And then the Bishop Blanchette and Garfield is at Bishop Blanchette High School. And then what else you got? These all 7 p.m. kickoffs. Nathan Hale will take on Chief South at the Southwest Athletic Conference. There you go. And then West Seattle will battle Ingram at the same time at the Northwest Athletic Conference. And that's just located just next to the backside of Lincoln High School there. And that is what is called the Northwest Athletic Complex. And then the last one was Rainier Beach will take on Roosevelt at the Northeast Athletic Conference, all at 7 p.m. And lastly, Saturday at noon, Franklin will take on Lakeside. And that, again, will be at the Northwest Athletic Conference. So there you go. There's your quick Metro League update. And the standings, West Seattle's undefeated. Well, you like that. And so is O'Day. And Eastside Catholic, we'll talk about 4-1. Rainier Beach, 3-1. Lakeside, 3-2. Lincoln, 3-2. Seattle Prep, 3-2. Chief South, Ingram, they're 2-2. And then you've got Roosevelt, 2-3. And then let's see, fifth from bottom, Franklin, 1-3. Ballard, 1-4. Bishop Blanchette, 1-4. Nathan Hale, 0-4. And then Garfield is 0-4, which is a rarity. And there you go. I wonder if there's anything else we need to hit up. Nah, volleyball. Bishop Blanchette is 11-1. This is girls volleyball. Garfield 9-2. Nathan Hale 9-2. Roosevelt 9-2. Lakeside 9-3. Ballard 8-3. Seattle Prep 6-5. So is Chief South. So is Ingram. They are all 6-5. Holy Names 5-6. Franklin 4-7. Eastside Catholic 4-7. And let's see, Seattle Academy 3-8. Lincoln 3-9. Cleveland 2-9. West Seattle 2-10. And Rainier Beach is winless in girls volleyball. All right, that is your recap there, the high school. And I said I'll try to give some kind of a high school report each and every week. Now, let me turn our focus over to Seattle Seahawks. So the Seattle Seahawks, they come out there. I wouldn't say surprising. I think we talked a little bit about that it was going to be a tough game and a game in which could the Seahawks take that step forward against the Jacksonville Jaguars away all the way across? And they did in a 20-12 win. I think the most interesting thing about that is in this game, it was a rebound game. It was a statement-making game by the Seahawks defense. Because if you remember, in the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at home, 35-38, the Seahawks front seven, if you will, the 3 down linemen, didn't get a sack. Baker Mayfield, I think, it was 0.5. But they come back. Get this, the Seahawks had 7 sacks and 17 quarterback hits on Trevor Lawrence. 17 quarterback hits, and they were just on fire in terms of their rush, their pass rush and coverage rush. And that's something that Mike McDonald talks quite a bit about, because if you are getting penetration from the front, right, and the Seahawks don't usually blitz as much as other teams. In other words, I think their one of the bottom teams when it comes to blitzing, but they're able to get pressure without blitzing against Trevor Lawrence. The Seahawks, Mike McDonald, Aiden Durde, did call up a couple blitzes, and that was because Nick Emenwari, and I asked Mike McDonald about this, and you hear that just in terms of, this rookie, the first series, go back to the first game of the season against Arizona, and he injures himself on the first play. So he only got back last week. That is in terms of back on the playing field, if you will. And this guy, when they drafted him, Nick Emenwari, is a prototypical Cam Chancellor. He's big and he can play in the box. And what that does is that when you get a safety that can play in the box, it helps with the run. It helps you run defense. But he is so versatile, he can also drop back in pass coverage. And that's what's really kind of helped the Seahawks and this hybrid, kid they were looking to. And he was hamstrung, as I said, literally, because of a knee. But he's slowly coming back. And what they were able to do with him, when you've got that extra pressure in the box, as I said, it stifles the run, and then it allows for you, for the defense, to dial up a lot of different things in terms of how you attack that. The Seahawks held the Jaguars to just 60 yards rushed, 59 yards. Now, Seahawks themselves had 60 yards. So this was really about, not being able to run, because both defenses, their fronts were really, really stout. Vita Vea, that was last week, but just in terms, Jacksonville actually rivals that of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front seven, which was led by former UW Vita Vea. So the Seahawks are seeing some of the best fronts in the game, and it's been hard for them to run, but what they've been able to do is execute the pass game. And by, when you can do that, then you got to do one or the other. And Sam Darnold was really, really efficient. He was 16 of 27 for 295 yards. And I say efficient because, look, the guy only threw 27 passes, right? Again, you completed 16 of them, but, 2 touchdowns, and he had 2 passes of over 61 yards. One to Jackson Smith-Njigba, and then the other one over to A.J. Barner, your tight end. Yeah, your tight end. So let me do this. We're going to go on break. I'm going to come back, and I'll finish up more of the stats. We'll hear from Mike McDonald, and then we'll transition to a couple more Seattle sports, and then we'll be back to talk about the Huskies and other amazing things that are happening here in the Seattle sports. This is Seattle Sports Weekly. Thanks. We'll be right back after this break.
Speak up, Seattle. We are Rainier Avenue Radio.world, the station that cares.
Don't forget. So I needed to check my kids' immunization records for their school. My doctor told me I could get them quickly online, but I couldn't figure out how. Thankfully, I could turn to Link to Care WA for help. With Link to Care WA, I was able to learn how to use online health portals, use telehealth to talk to my doctor virtually, and even apply for jobs online. I called their free hotline and got help from a real person. Call Link to Care WA at 866-757-1832 or visit linktocarewa.org.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at yung local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in, Phil-Am Radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
A new law is helping people save more money on prescription drug costs. You may also be able to save with Medicare's Extra Help program. Your premium cost can be zero and your out-of-pocket expenses are low. Who should apply? Single individuals earning less than $23,000 a year or married couples earning less than $31,000 a year. Even if you don't think you qualify, you should still check out this program. Visit ssa.gov/extrahelp. Medicare costs are covered by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, community. Listen to New Hope Missionary Baptist Church every Sunday, 10:45 a.m.
We invite you to get up and call a friend and tell them that New Hope is on live. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Now, our pastor, the Reverend Dr. Robert L. Jeffrey Sr.
Everybody clap your hand, come on.
Listen to New Hope Missionary Baptist Church every Sunday, 10:45 a.m.
Are your kids eligible for or enrolled in Apple Health Medicaid insurance? Bring them to a free dental clinic in Skyway this fall. Public Health Seattle and King County is hosting free dental clinics for kids 12 and under at the Skyway Resource Center, one Saturday per month, now until December. Visit kingcounty.gov/ABCD for more information. Again, that's kingcounty.gov/ABCD for free dental clinics for kids.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenueradio.world. All
right, we're back. The last 28 minutes of the show. Mazvita Maraire, Seattle Sports Week. And so, talking Seahawks. We started talking Mariners. How could we not? And then we pivoted over to the Seahawks. How can we not do that? Seahawks, are tied for first place in the NFC West. And, Seahawks, the Rams, 49ers, all 4-2. And it's only the Cardinals who are in last place. And they are 2-4. Well, the other ones are there. So there's some interesting things coming up. The Seahawks their next game is Monday night. I just love Seattle sports right now. I mean, we are the epicenter of some of the big national, happenings in sports. Obviously, the Mariners, we talked about that in the, ALCS. And as I said, they will host, they're up 2-0. And then I'll get to the Sounders in a minute here. But there you go, your Seahawks, your 4-2 Seattle Seahawks will Monday night, Houston. I should know that. I think they will be hosting Houston. But here is what Mike McDonald had to say about the Seahawks dominating, 20-12 win over Jacksonville, in which the team had 7 quarterback sacks and 17 quarterback hits.
I don't know the stats, but the guy played a tremendous game yesterday. Set a lot of those guys up for success. Playing at a really high level. Whole front played great. And the effect that he's had with our, especially our young offensive linemen over the course of the season has been really cool. That really all of our defensive linemen and veteran offensive line guys, willing to, sharpen each other has just been a 12-1 type of thing. Pretty cool. We got great players that care about the team and care about their teammates, and they've put a lot of investment into our connection as a group. And there's going to be testimony. I mean, there's going to be adversity. We saw it last week. We saw it after the San Francisco week. where things don't go our way, and we have to do a great job of keep responding to those things by sticking together. And I think that's what we saw this week. Yeah, just again, I'm learning through the health thing, but it's just, there's a lot of it's a science, but it's also, things change. There's different opinions at hand, and imaging and testing on a daily basis. So it's a little bit more volatile than people would probably want, including me sometimes. But that's just how you have to handle things. So yeah, at some point we hope Devin's out there this week. Can't tell you, we've moved the schedule back. Basically, we're going to get, Monday Night Football, you get the extra day. So we're going to use the extra day here on the front end and then keep our normal weekly cadence starting on Thursday. So we'll see as the week unfolds.
Hey, Mike, this morning you talked about connection, toughness, 12 is 1, as you always do. And then you had this comment, you said, we've earned the right to win the games we play. Can you elaborate on that just from a process perspective?
Sure. Yeah, we this is a tough league, man. It's a tough league, and it'll humble you in a second. And there's great teams and great players and great coaches, and you got to go through it. You got to go through the process from starting in April and the offseason program, even before then when the players show up. And you got to go nail, the summer and keep your body in great shape and get ready for camp. And you got to go nail camp days and build that callus and do all the things that it takes to all the situation. There's so much work that needs to go into it. And our guys have nailed those steps. And so it's a message to our guys that they've earned the right to be confident because they've gone through the process so well, and they've stuck together doing it. They've done it unselfishly and with a sense of urgency, and we have fun doing it. Take pride in that it's an environment where guys love coming to play football. And now it's game time where we want to go, show the fruits of our labor where we go win games.
On Nick Emmenwolver, you talked about the game will eventually slow down, and there's some technical terms you used. But what have you seen so far, just in this, the reps that he's getting now since his return?
Yeah, I'll say there's some really cool stuff on tape from the game where he's trying to play like us, and I think he's shown that's who he is. He goes, and he's a sure tackler on the edge. There's some things, there's things we're going to clean up, that details here and there in all aspects of his game that are just going to make him go to the next level. And I know he'll have the right mentality to get there with us. But I think anybody watching that game yesterday could feel the impact that he had on the game, and also the potential impact he can have on games moving forward. It starts with a game plan. I thought as a coaching staff, we gave our guys a better chance to succeed on a down to down basis, and frankly, the players are the ones that make it come to life. They decided they were going to play a certain way, and they're going to play like us and play our style of ball. And proud to see that. The effort was definitely there. Physicality, the cohesiveness, the play-to-play mentality. I mean, that's not just talk. That's what these guys, what they're about, and that's what we expect moving forward. Is to play like that.
And Shaquille Griffin, how did you feel like he played yesterday?
Shaq did a good job. Made tackles on the perimeter. Played with great eye control. We had one miscommunication on the first touchdown, which again, that's my job that we can execute that, and we didn't. So we got to make that come to life. That starts with me, but we had a mishap there. But outside of that, sticky in coverage, played discipline, really positive. Well, I think it just speaks to Sam's poise, his confidence right now, the preparation that he's doing. I mean, you don't just show up on Sunday and these plays come to life. You gotta make them happen. We got to be able to move and shake at the line of scrimmage. We got to be able to operate at a high level, and Sam's doing that. And so, but again, it's not just going to show up next Monday night. We got to do all the things throughout the week now, so you can be confident going into the game, and I know we will. And to me, I think it's as simple as that. And you got a lot of guys playing really hard beside him too now. I mean, we got our offensive line protection has been overall very positive. And, you know, to throw the ball down the field, it takes some, as we saw last week against us, it takes some Mississippis. And you got to be able to create those explosive plays.
All right, so there you go. Mike McDonald just I like that guy. I mean, you know, as I said, listening to coaches, you can learn so much from coaches just in terms of if you listen about leadership, technicality, and you know, and what and messaging. All right, and they as I said, the Seahawks will play Houston 2-3, the Texans on Monday. You never know, but it's a game that, you know, if you're the Seahawks and you take that W, now you're 5-2. You get and it's the bye week. Well, you know, going back to some of the thoughts, the points Mike McDonald talked about in there. He was talking about Leonard Williams at the beginning, and all week, Leonard Williams last week, it talked about accountability to the players themselves, and it was up for the veterans to do that. And when he's on fire, you heard that as a leader, then it ignites that front seven I talked about going into, you know, the interview with Mike McDonald. That is, so it ignites, you know, the return of DeMarcus Lawrence, who had two sacks as well, cannot be underrated, former Dallas Cowboy. And so those two, Jaron Reed, and also Byron Murphy, who by far is having, you know, his breakout season. And this is the Murphy that they were hoping to draft, which they did. The Seattle Seahawks did 2 years ago. And he is, you know, he's a problem. Seahawks got a couple of problems for opponents in that front. So there you go. In that, and I would be remiss if I didn't get to my Seattle Sounders, who beat who did they beat? The Seattle Sounders beat Real Salt Lake 1-0 in that last home game of the season. And Seahawks Sounders will play one more game. That's this Saturday against New York Red Bull to end the regular season. The Sounders have already clinched the 5th place in the conference, which means they will play, I think, 4 and 5 play. So we'll have to wait until Sunday decision day, as the MLS likes to call it. But the Sounders, in terms of MLS standings, it's not going to change much. They are where they are right now in terms of playoffs, and it's just a matter of who they will play. You know, that then of course that's going to determine where they'll play and the times and all that. But we'll know that on Sunday. But it will be an away game for the Seattle Sounders in that. So let's cut this short in the end. But let's can we hear from Brian Smetzer after the team's win over Real Salt Lake?
The other thing I didn't know, Jeremiah, was Corky Truan, who's been a great photographer in the Seattle area. He does Seahawks, he does Sounder games. I've known him for 50 years. He puts up photo montages of all of our wins, and he starts at this end of the locker room. And this year, for the first time, we went all the way around to the opposite corner. And by his count, because I didn't verify it, but he puts up a montage only if we win, not if it's a draw or a loss, but there's 22 photos up on the wall in that locker room. Pretty darn good. So there's another positive thing that we can write about.
Unverified, but we're checking into it.
Okay, guys, step up and do what they're supposed to do. Not just in the best of times when you're winning 3-0, you know, things are easy and bring guys on, but in hard games, you know, JP hasn't played in I don't know how long, gutted out 60 minutes. I got on the opposite end of that spectrum, Peter Kingston making his debut. I've got Steph, 350 game appearances for the club. We've got young leaders stepping up, Pedro, Jesus, Jordan Morris, Jackson, Alex. You got guys, Jonathan Bell, Danny Leyva, I mean, everybody on this squad has pitched in at some point in time over the course of this year, so I appreciate them very much. I don't think many people want to play us. Look, I think in the Western Conference, there's a lot of good teams. I mean, Vancouver came back and won tonight. LAFC's on fire. San Diego's had a great year. Minnesota's had an exceptional year. So it's a dogfight. It's a dogfight. I mean, it's gonna be hard whoever we match up against. And I got plenty of confidence in our team. We've been in a lot of big games this year, and some of that experience is gonna make us better in the playoffs. Injured for an extended period of time. There was a minute restriction on him, but 30 minutes was about all he was eligible to play. And so the way the game shook out, and JP, taking those extra 15 minutes in the second half, he braved, he did a great job there. So, there you go, Stewie, here's your chance.
Nobody.
The guys that I'd like to take it. But look, Jordan, for his confidence, wanted to score, and I have zero problem with that. Him stepping up, it's unfortunate that he didn't score, and you can tell, look, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He had his head down for a little bit, but what you guys can do when you rewatch the game is you take a look at some of the stuff that the kid did down on this direction of the field, some of his defending, getting back, making sacrifices for the team. His running in behind tonight, again, was a step forward for me. He got into some dangerous positions that we didn't pass him the ball. So his ability to make one movement and then another one and then another one, so I thought he did some good stuff. But obviously missing the penalty kick, yeah, he's going to be disappointed. Alex has been a tremendous asset to this club for just the reasons that you pointed out, George. He's played multiple positions. He's played them well. Okay, the goalkeeping one will just go into the, into the book of all the things that Sounders have accomplished. But Alex, again, veteran guy, part of this group for a long time, understood the role. I gave him a little hint that he might be pushing up in midfield prior to the game, just having that conversation with him. And you know what he tells me? He says, "Sure, coach, I'll do whatever it takes." And that's the kind of attitude you love to hear.
All right, we'll stop there. That is head coach Brian Smetzer, right? Sorry, Brian, got to cut you short because, man, I'm looking at the time and all those kind of things, and I'm like, good Lord, I'm almighty. We've got a football segment to break down here, and we've got the UW beat reporter for CascadiaSports.net. Knows all the stories, the little big stories, the little ones. He's there every Monday and on Thursday sometimes. So Andrew Bailey of CascadiaSports.net. Andrew, you there?
I am here.
All right, so let's start with this. Give me your top 3 Halloween movies.
I will start with E.T., Jaws, maybe. And Jaws is kind of like a July movie. You can't really. So I guess that's kind of. And then Get Out, maybe that one.
Okay, that's the only Halloween. What is with E.T.? I mean, that is not a Halloween movie. I'm looking at some lists here, but hey, I asked you what yours were. I didn't want to, I can't browbeat you for what you believe. Get Out was good. Get Out was good. And this is how you and I separate ourselves in terms of genre/age, right? I'll take The Shining. You ever heard of The Shining?
Yeah, I've heard of The Shining. Yeah, it's I've seen parts of that movie. I've not seen the whole movie though, all the way through.
Yeah, there you go. I've read the book. I'm a Stephen King, so there's actually he wrote a sequel to that, and it is better. If I can say it's better than The Shining. Yeah. I will also go to what else do I? Let me see. Halloween. The first one.
Ooh.
Classic. Well, you don't know nothing about that. You wouldn't even both. You know who Jamie Lee Curtis is? Well, no. Bad.
I've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I haven't seen that. No.
That's all right. There's plenty. There's Psycho. There's Halloween. Get Out. Like that. That's a winner. When you said Get Out, that's a winner. Anyways, I thought we just The Exorcist. You would know about that, but that is that's a little older. But anyway, so speaking of exorcism and exorcising the demons, the Huskies did it again. Then tell me about another second half by the UW football.
I know. Damon Williams just caught fire in the second half. Just unbelievable performance. He was jumping over people into the end zone and then running over people into the end zone and throwing the ball all over the field. It was just crazy. I mean, he finished this with over 400 yards passing and 100 yards rushing. It's never been done before by a quarterback in Husky history. It's only happened 16 times now in the history of college football that a quarterback has done that. And I think no quarterback has had 2 rushing touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns while accomplishing the feat, at least according to the UW stats department.
Yeah, and they know the only quarterback that comes to mind, dual threat quarterback that some of us remember, was Marcus Tuiasosopo. I think he's assistant coach somewhere. But Andrew, look, in your best kind of analytical, what changed, right? I get Damon Williams. Did they go to a 12-man? I mean, what did the Husky, what changed?
It seemed to me they figured something out in that secondary. They spotted something in the coverage schemes because guys all of a sudden were just running wide open all over the field. That second pass to Desmond Roebuck, he's just wide open over the middle, and he just puts one of the DBs on Rutgers into the spin cycle and runs all the way inside the 5 and sets up a touchdown run from Jonah Coleman to start the second half to take back control of that game because they've been trailing the whole game up until that point, and then they go up 17-13. They kind of just take control after that point.
What did Fish say when when you watched the video on Monday? What did he say about that? Just another second half.
He believes they played really well throughout the football game. It was just they just couldn't finish a couple drives in the first half. They ended up missing a field goal on their first drive because they had a really good response. They got down to the 21. They were moving the ball fine, and then they got stopped like just outside the red zone. And then Grady Gross misses a field goal. The wind was blowing a little bit, so the swirling wind kind of threw off the kick and missed it. And then later in the first half, Damon Williams had a nice run, but then the ball was punched out at the 2-yard line when he was scrambling, and they lost the ball there. So they had another chance to score and weren't able to do it. So they were moving the ball really well throughout the football game. It's just they had a couple of miscues here or there in the first half that kept them from scoring. So he didn't think it was really that they had a bad first half. It was just they just couldn't execute as well sometimes, either in special teams or they just fumbled the ball on that one.
They're a little messy. Fair enough to say that. Well, all right, Saturday you can't be messy. You can't, and I don't mean Lionel Messi. They cannot come out here and tell me about Saturday's opponent. But before we do that, let's talk about, let's do both. Them getting there, what preparations, was this a 9 a.m. kickoff?
Yes, it's a 9 a.m. kickoff. According to Fish, he's talked to Mike McDonald about preparing for going to the East and playing early kickoffs. He's been consulting with him. Good guy to consult because the Seahawks head coach is 10-1 on the road, so that helps. And that's what they're trying to do, try to figure out their schedule, when they're going to leave, when they're going to get there, practice and preparation, all those good things.
Yeah, and so the key is not using the time gap, right? I mean, somehow putting your schedule together so you get there, and your body, what I'm trying to say here is that your body's naturally feeling the same way, whether you're east or west, so that way you can perform better. Is that correct?
Exactly. That's what they were talking about in the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, because what you don't want is your body to say, oh, this is too early or this is too late when you're going over there. So their opponent, tell me about their opponent.
Well, Michigan's coming off a loss against USC in the Coliseum. They lost 31-13, so they're going to be hungry to get back in the win column for sure. They run the ball really well, 216 yards rushing per game, so that Husky rushing defense, which has looked improved through this year, they're 6th in the country right now in yards allowed on the ground. They need to show it on Saturday. And this is the first test they've really had since Ohio State against a team that can run the football, because Maryland threw it 49 times, Rutgers threw it 50 times. So this is now a run-dominant, more so a run-focused team in Michigan that they have to go up against, and they have a good offensive line, always do. And then if you switch gears to the defensive side, they also have a strong front seven. So it's going to be a battle in the trenches for sure come Saturday.
Okay, and then you wrote an article up there that will be live a little later today on CascadiaSports.net about this. But you mentioned what about the Huskies linebackers and their front seven there? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. I know there's this lawsuit that Jacob Manu has filed. It's kind of complicated, but he's trying to get an extra year of eligibility is basically what the main takeaway from that is. And so Fish is having to treat it like he's having a redshirt year in order to get him an extra year of eligibility, because I don't think he's redshirted before. So they have to try and play it out that way, as if he's going to be redshirted until that court case is decided whether he can get an extra year of eligibility. So it's a big decision for Fish whether or not to play him in this game or not, because he only has 2 more games that he can play in, because he started against Maryland and he started against he played against Ohio State. So he only has 2 more games left.
Okay, because 4 games, right, before you lose your eligibility. All right, great stuff, Andrew. He's Andrew Bailey. As I said, you can go to CascadiaSports.net, read all his stuff up there. And yeah, thanks for hopping on, Andrew. And can't wait to hear, boy, oh boy, what happens in this big test for the Huskies ground game, as you so duly noted. All right, so that's it for today. And then up next is Clean Green. Has guest Ted speaker Ashley McGirt-Adea. Ashley McGirt-Adea. I hope I said that correctly. We don't like to butcher our guests' names. All right, D Money, thank you with all the pulling the strings in behind that big curtain. Thank you all for watching and listening. I'm Mazvita Maraire, CascadiaSports.net. This is Seattle Sports Weekly.